We're hoping to serve as many sellers as possible. Like this specific product, we don't care if the seller is living in Vietnam or has a company in China. It doesn't matter. We want as many sellers as possible, regardless of where they live, to or where their businesses are, to come and sign up. With a hope in the future that we're able to kind of build this large, a portion of sellers who are on the Seller Defender product, where we are then able to have meaningful conversations about change within the industry.
Hello, I'm your host, John Cavendish, and welcome to Season 4 of the Amazon Strategist Show, the show that's all strategy with no hacks, no silver bullets, and no magic pills, just real practical strategies to grow your Amazon business. Today, I am joined by none other than Rohit from Ashoreful, who has been on the show, I think, at least 2 times before. And today, we're going to be talking about something very special. So welcome to the show, Rohit.
John.
No, great to have you here. And today we're diving into a new product built to solve one of the biggest fears of Amazon sellers, which are account suspensions and ASINs. So yeah, I guess why this product and why now?
It all goes back to 2018. I've said this a few times before, but I've built and sold 5 e-commerce businesses, 4 of them Amazon focused. And obviously compliance is a big deal. However, one of the biggest pain points and the fears were around account suspensions and, ASIN delistings, especially if it's your hero ASIN. And so I kind of liken it to if you were running a restaurant or, a physical business, and every single second of every single day, you were worried that a hurricane is going to come through and flatten your restaurant. And that's exactly what it's like living with this fear that Amazon may arbitrarily suspend your account or take down your hero ASIN. And so restaurants and physical establishments are able to get business interruption insurance or something that will, tide them over, pay their bills while the restaurant is being rebuilt. But that doesn't exist with Amazon, right? And so I've seen families break up because of account suspensions and the cash flow dries up. Somebody has quit their job to go and launch, live their best life and launch an Amazon business. And suddenly, for an arbitrary and often unfounded reason, Amazon suspends the seller account, and then you just, what do you do? And so what most e-commerce businesses do is that they try to sort it out themselves, which historically has been the worst way to do it, right? You've got to work with professionals. Unfortunately, the professionals are expensive. And, account suspensions could range from, $3,000 to $15,000, $20,000 for really good consultants. If you're talking about the best consultants, that's like $20,000. Just get one account suspension sorted. And now if you're a small, medium, or sometimes even large seller, what do you do? Do you have to just keep forking out cash to deal with the consultants all the time? And this is a reality for a lot of sellers, right? The fear that exists, the expensive consultants, and this is why we launched Seller Defender, to literally defend the seller. So it's an insurance guaranteed account suspension product where you pay a monthly fee, which essentially goes toward all your consultants' costs, right? Not just an account suspension, but more importantly on ASIN delistings. So account suspensions are fewer and far between, but then the ASIN issues, they're just constant, right? In 2018, going back to my business, we had an account suspension that happened. Obviously, the ASIN delistings would happen all the time. When we were selling supplements, Amazon would say we're selling fertilizers and suspend the ASIN, right? Or it would be, we had 9,000 5-star reviews, and suddenly one star review comes in saying, gave me a stomachache. And then for health and safety, the entire ASIN would be dropped, especially your hero ASIN. And it would somehow magically happen around, big shopping periods, right? I'm not blaming competition, but it is what it is. And so that's kind of why we came up with this product where there is the peace of mind and the guarantee that's there that no matter what happens, there's the absolute best consultants working on your account suspensions or your ASIN delistings. The absolute best. And this is more for the small and medium Amazon seller. If the consultants do not get your account reinstated within a certain defined period of time, you have an insurance guarantee that you will get a big check, a check to go and start something new or just to pay your bills. Now, these things are game changers because it suddenly takes away this fear, this constant fear. I mean, you sold on Amazon yourself. You know how painful it is. And the friction that it causes in a family and the mental anguish and stress that's caused by, seller support who just doesn't support. They just want a certain formula and it's just extremely painful to do it yourself. That's why we've launched this, because I've seen too many Amazon sellers suffer and cry. I mean, you know, it's been a while now, but I cried. It was so painful. And I was very fortunate to have a loving partner, and she told me it's going to be okay. But at the time, without, getting too emotional about it, I felt like a failure, right? And it is bad, right? When you get an account suspension, and especially if you feel wronged, where you didn't do anything wrong, and yet you've been suspended for an arbitrary reason, it just feels like injustice.
Oh no, that's amazing. And yeah, I totally identify with that as well. Like I've had accounts spend in different markets. I used to be a European seller, and like markets would go down individually. So Germany would go down or France would go down because of some issue, and that was back when I was green. I didn't know what I was doing back in 2017 or whenever it was, and yeah, takes time and effort and the
And
back then
money,
when money and the lack of just lost sales. Like back when I thought I could do everything for myself, I lost so much money and lost sales.
you know, in 2018, going back to this account suspension I was talking about, we got consultants and then we got back on, relatively quickly compared to if we had done it ourselves. But for the year, we were thinking that we do 30 million in sales for that one particular brand. And because of that account suspension, even if it was a short-term suspension, we lost ranking. We were sort of Amazon bestseller for a really key category, and Amazon's choice, all the good stuff. And for the year, instead of our projected 30 million, we did 9 million instead, which was extremely painful
Cash
because
flow wise, it must have been crippling because you do cash
brutal.
flow projections based on that. So
Absolutely. And not just that, but then you have staffing based on a business that's doing 30 million. Now, what do you do when you're doing, less than a third of what you thought you were going to do? Do you let people go? What do you do? And so the reason it took me so long was in the first instance, we tried to do it ourselves. Hey, we had an account manager because we were of that size, right? And suddenly it turns out that the account managers do nothing for you when you're suspended. They do nothing for you um, because you don't have that kind of cash flow coming through the door. You're no longer part of the program for an account manager. It's wild. It's just wild. And we tried to do it ourselves through an account manager, and then we wasted like 2 months on that, right? And then when we finally got consultants in, we were able to resolve it really quickly because they see 100 of these, 1,000 of these, every week. It's just so common, um, especially with account suspensions. With ACE, my God, we're talking tens of thousands. It affects every Amazon seller. Everybody's affected. And that's because Amazon runs it algorithmically, right? So their let's call it natural language processing back then, and today AI reviews or reads product reviews and makes decisions based on that, whether they're going to suspend, like delist the ASIN or suspend an account, etc., etc. And so there's no human intervention until you make an appeal. And the appeal needs to be a certain way. And when the appeal is not a certain way, the teams within Amazon, and they have their own KPIs, and I'm not being negative about them, but I kind of am, right? It needs to
Kind
be a
of.
certain way. It needs to be a certain way, and you don't know what the certain way is. And who knows it? A consultant does, a relisting consultant. But then again, there are tiers of relisting consultants, right? So there's the good ones, and then there's the bad ones. And the bad ones will take your money up front while you're suffering, by the way. They'll send you a big bill and say, oh, we can't submit it until you pay our invoice. And you've got no cash flow coming through the door at this point. Remember that. So you've got nothing coming through the door, and yet you're paying a big consultant bill. And the vast, you know, again, not being disparaging, but the vast majority of them don't know what they're doing, right? Or just are using ChatGPT to come up with a response, and it's not the way it should be done. And so, you're not vetting them properly, and you look through forums and try and find a consultant, and then you have to pay when you have no money coming through the door. This is the problem here, right? Where you're already, losing money every single day that you're not up, and now you've got this big bill that you have to pay off again. It's awful. It's awful. And now you have to make a decision. Am I going to pay, my mortgage or my rent, or pay this consultant with no guarantee that I'm going to be able to get back on? And it's never guaranteed with them, right? And this is where Seller Defender comes into place, where you don't have to pay, right, these big bills to the consultants, because that's what it is. It's insurance backed. It's insurance guaranteed. And a shortfall, we've talked about this before, because we're at the forefront of it. I mean, I've got insuring e-commerce on my chest. It's close to my heart, right? This is my left side, by the way, because I'm just so passionate about trying to protect e-commerce businesses through all the cycles that they go through. Then it's not a great time to be an e-commerce business today, especially an Amazon seller. It is not. So, yeah.
Yeah. So how does it work? Can you talk us a little bit through that? So once if you are insured by a shortfall and Seller Defender, what happens should there be an issue, whether it's an ASIN suspension or an account suspension? What does the seller have to do?
So, in the first instance, they just need to send us an email. They do not need to respond to, themselves. Don't try and do something yourself, right? You send us an email, and in a few hours, we have the best consultants on our panel. I mean, we're talking about people who literally wrote the book on account suspensions. We have that team working on it, right? And so an email comes into us, and we kind of call it, notify us of what's happened. As soon as they notify us of what's happened, within a few hours, we will have the best team working on it with no payment at all from the seller. We will get it done, right? And that's with an account suspension, with an ASIN suspension as well. Notify us, and within a few hours, we get to work immediately. We get to work, ask you for whatever is needed. If there's some supporting documentation that's needed, if there's invoices or an MSDS, if it's a material safety data sheet, whatever is needed, the consultants ask for it. So we don't get involved in the actual process of getting it relisted, because we're providing the insurance back guarantees on this, and so we will deal with them separately, right? And then we take care of all the bills, and we take care of all the time that they're spending on. They don't invoice anything to the seller at this point, right? And the seller just has to support back, provide what they need. Consultants take care of everything. Now, if the consultants, again, I mentioned this earlier, but if the consultants don't do what what they're supposed to do, we look after that. So then that's a complaint to us, not anyone else. But it's never happened. We're talking about not just the icing on the cake, but the cherry on top of the icing of the cake. These are the consultants that we're working with, the best of the best. And so, however, sometimes, doesn't go the way that we hope it does, and in that event, a shortfall will pay out. Um, you know, at this point, we're saying $10,000 that we will pay out, and that's how we're currently structured. But it's $10,000 to go and start something new, to get rid of that stress, right? You're able to make payroll, or you're able to pay your mortgage, or something like that, right? If the consultants aren't able to do what they do, but they always do. Uh, However, you know, life doesn't always. Nothing is 100%,
I totally
right?
agree with that. But yeah, from my
And that's the
understanding,
kind of key differentiator, John, that I wanted to mention, which is there's nobody else in the industry, in the Amazon e-commerce industry, that is able to guarantee with a payout that if we don't do it, we will pay. Nobody is doing that. And that's what the seller wants. He wants comfort. He wants peace of mind. He wants, you know, to be able to sleep at night. Because I wasn't able to sleep at night, right? It's hard. It's really, really hard when it happens.
yeah, I totally identify with that. So you did say that there's no payout, no payment required at the point of ASIN. So can you talk us a little bit about packages and pricing and what payment is required? Because I'm sure there is some payment.
Sure. I mean, so we're structured as a monthly product, right? So it's typically, $299 a month, but for the first couple of months, just because we launched the product, we're pricing it at $199 a month. This, of course, includes unlimited account suspensions, unlimited ASIN relistings. It's with the absolute best, and also the insurance guarantee on it,
So
right?
is it, sorry,
So
is it 199 a month for life if they sign up now, or 199 for the first couple of months?
it is 199 for life if they sign up now. Of course, if they break in between and then they try and re-sign up afterward, then it'll go to the original price. So we're not guaranteeing that it'll stay 199 a month. This is only for now, right? And that's because we're trying to, help as many sellers as possible for as little as possible. Um, that's the hope here.
Oh, I love it. Cool. So I mean, it's definitely the time to sign up now because basically they lock it in for less than the value of much less than the value of one account suspension a year, and probably the
Uh,
value of what two ASIN suspensions a year. You get peace of mind and someone who can like jump on it like that, as opposed to having to
Absolutely. But we've actually done the maths on this, and so it turns out that for somebody who sticks around for 3 years, right? Even if they have the most benign account suspension in that 3 years, even one, it's paid for itself, right? So it's just, but most sellers have it happen quite often, and you know that. And by no fault of their own, I need to add. Um, but sometimes it does. Now, of course, I just need to caveat this by saying, if you are a bad actor, don't come, right? Because we're not going to guarantee a payment if you've actually done something, right? So we
that's only
want
against
good
the
Amazon
US.
businesses.
Yeah, only
Yes,
against
I
the US.
mean something blatantly against US. I mean, if you're manipulating things, then it's just those people exist, right? They're out there, and but the vast majority of sellers aren't like that, right? And so people are trying to build a sustainable, successful business without trying to scam people. There are people out there who are trying to scam people, and we don't want to work with them, right? Also, I just need to also say this, that because of the way, I mean, we're in insurance, and so we have our own underwriting conditions of who we will accept. So I don't want, if you've had an account suspension that's happened now, um, we're not the product for you. Go and work with someone else. We want people. I mean, you don't buy insurance when you after you get into a car accident, right? Or after your house burns down. That's not how it works. So we have some conditions there, which are fairly straightforward. We want good quality sellers. So we're talking about an account health score of above 300 on 2000, which absolutely practically everybody does have, unless they are you know
Currently
have been through
suspended.
something, yeah, currently suspended. Um, and if you've had an account suspension in the last 6 months, we're not the right fit for you right now. However, please do apply. because we can help with remediation of your account. And as soon as you get back, the 6 months goes by, we would be able to bring you on to the Seller Defender product. But until then, we will help with remediation for a separate cost, and but that's not something that we're hoping for. The vast majority of businesses don't have this issue.
Oh, love it. And so if someone is interested, what's the best way for them to take action and figure out if this is a good fit for them?
Well, the way to do it is, apply on the website, and I'm not sure if you're able to do a link, but it is great. So it's sellerdefender.assureful.com. But please do a link as well if you could. And I'm hoping that, the most number of sellers are able to take advantage of kind of this, call it an introductory pricing, right? Where we're actually losing money on it, but it makes sense to do, to get people protected, because, that's what's most important.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, thank you for serving the industry in that way.
Well, we hope to serve more. And of course, I mean, there are, you know, at some point, the seller is going to need their commercial general liability insurance and things like that, and that's where we hope that they would pick us.
Yeah,
If we're able to do Seller Defender now in the future, we hope that they would pick us for their commercial general liability needs.
yeah, they should. So what's your vision and future for Seller Defender? Like, what's your kind of roadmap going forward?
Well, we're hoping to serve as many sellers as possible, and unlike our other products, this is market agnostic. This specific product, we don't care if the seller is living in Vietnam or has a company in China. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, we want as many sellers as possible, regardless of where they live, to or where their businesses are, to come and sign up. With a hope in the future that we're able to kind of build this. Uh, I don't want to call it a union, but a large, a portion of sellers who are on the Seller Defender product, where we are then able to have meaningful conversations about change within the industry. As of now, things are very disparate, where each seller is an island and suffering on their own or with their families. Um, we're hoping that this changes.
Oh, amazing. And yeah, I love what you're doing for the industry, Rohit.
John, yeah, it's been many years in the making and many sleepless nights, and I'm hoping that it's good enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know what's going on in the background, so I think that it should be, and it will do well. So, thank you so much for being here, Rohit. If anyone wants to find
Thank you,
out more
John.
about Shawful separately, because they need to do their general liability, because you need general liability. If you don't have it, that's when you should panic,
Yes.
because Amazon requires it. It's not an optional thing. How should they
No,
check out
mandatory.
Shawful?
Go to assureful.com. So that's ASSUREFUL.com.
Beautiful. And if you like this episode, come back for more episodes. And yeah, see you all next week, everyone. Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful. And if you like this episode, come back for more episodes. And yeah, see you all next week, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Sean.